What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and we're back with another Tales of the Valiant Tuesday from our friends over at Cobalt Press. By the way, they did also launch a new Kickstarter today, so I'll put a link in the video description for that if you'd like to check that out as well. But let's just dive right in and head over to the Kobold Press blog, and we'll see what they've got right here. So, TOV Tuesday, what changed in the final book after your playtest comments, right? So for those of you unaware, similar to what we see with a lot of, we saw with this Wizards of the Coast and the D&D stuff, which again, that'll be covered in the future, but Tales of the Valiant had a pretty long open playtest and then a significantly longer kind of closed and backer-specific playtest. So there's obviously been a lot of shifts as comments have come in. So let's see what Celeste wrote here about what's shifted since the playtest. All right. The earliest public playtest for Tales of the Valiant RPG focused on player options, so we kept the high-level game rules in the alpha release pretty similar to the original SRD. This was the best strategy to get people testing player options as quickly as possible. Some people assumed the base rules presentation in the alpha release was how they would look in the final book. Oh man, these people will be shocked. We dug into everything, making little changes everywhere to increase usability and address some of the more confusing pieces of the 5e rules while keeping the base mechanics intact to ensure 5e compatibility. Now, this is something that I saw a lot of people had said, that everything seemed relatively close to 5e, and like, why bother if everything's just going to be like a slight tweak to 5e. So it sounds like you're going to see a lot of changes, enough that maybe we'll make some of those take a second look here. So it says, what got better? Here are just some of the base rules elements that got major glow-ups. Adventuring gear, tools, vehicles, light invisibility, tracking and hiding, downtime rules, and magic item pricing, and seriously, so much more. So let's take a look at just what's mentioned there. All right. So adventuring gear, tools, and vehicles, this is kind of mundane, non-magical things here, which, again, I'm curious to see what's there. I'm never really too huge on, like, tools and vehicles, but maybe those have enough changes here that it's worth looking into. Light and visibility, that could be of interest. Tracking and hiding. For those of you who weren't around at the start of 5e, hiding was very contentious. There was a lot of weird, nuancy rules. A lot of that has been metered out in errata over time, but people were very confused about how hiding and searching and sneaking and all that worked out. Downtime rules, I think we can all agree that the 5e does have downtime rules, but they don't really give us too many options. And then probably one of the most exciting things is magic item pricing. That's probably one of the biggest complaints and issues I see with a lot of people is this sort of weird, nuancy stuff. Most people expect to be able to buy and sell magic items, and 5e has this very much like hands-off. It's very hard to do so, and I understand lore-wise and kind of in-world-wise why that may be difficult because of just the nature, the power of magic items. But having pricing is definitely one of the best things we'll probably see here, and I'm hoping maybe we'll get that from 5e rules as well, but we'll see later on in the year. Spellcasting and spell updates. The earliest public playtests for TOV didn't show off all the planned changes we had for spells. Private testing, however, was a different story. Every SRD spell brought into TOV got attention, and we added a bunch of brand new spells to round out each source list. Speaking of which, after many votes and much discussion, we landed on the following new terms in the final version. In the early playtest, spell levels were renamed spell rings, but over the course of playtesting, the final term is now spell circles. In the early playtest, class spell lists were renamed and reflavored into 4 spell circles. While the design of the 4 lists hasn't changed from playtesting, the final term for each is now spell source. Every spellcasting class chooses its spells from the arcane, divine, primordial, or weird source. Refining and rebalancing character options. A huge portion of TOV playtesting was dedicated to character options. Base classes, subclasses, and spells are the most complicated game elements to design, and the vast majority of audience attention is fixed on them, so we spend a huge amount of time putting them through their paces. Based on what I've seen on videos that I've made, I would agree with that statement wholeheartedly. In most cases, each playtesting phase didn't radically reinvent new features. We don't think throwing new spaghetti at the wall every time makes the best product. Instead, we focused on tuning up or dialing down specific features that playtesters had issues with in playtesting. We wanted to ensure that every base class had a clear starring role in an adventuring party, so many changes were focused on enhancing those features while ensuring no one class or player option was the obvious best. I think that makes a lot of sense, right? If, hey, you could be a rogue and do this, but a bard could do everything a rogue can do better, why play a rogue? Player option adjustments, a quick hit list. The numerous rounds of playtesting we did for TOV resulted in so many changes. All of you public and private playtesters really crushed it. Seriously, thank you. There are too many changes to list them all here, but here are some highlights that were a direct result of the earliest waves of public playtesting. We had thousands of feedback forms submitted. More choices and powers for marshals. After the first couple of playtests, y'all made it clear that empowering martial classes was a top priority. As a result, dedicated martial classes like the Barbarian, Fighter, Rogue, and Monk went through their highest number of playtest phases, a mix of public and internal. We gave them more strategic options, see weapon options, and ways to increase their overall damage output to compete with casters. The martial talent list got a complete rework from its appearance in the alpha release over a year ago. The martial talent list is now twice the size of the magic or technical talent lists, and every single talent option is great. We wanted them to feel as juicy as 5e's Sentinel or Polar Master feats. So for those of you who don't know, talents is what Tales of the Valiant calls feats. It's their kind of feat name replacement, and they split them up into groups, right? So you have magic, which is for your caster types, martial, just for your martial types, and technical is for more of your skill types, right? Your rogues, your bards, things like that. So they're apparently adding a ton more talent options for the marshals and trying to give, basically, sounds like every type of weapon or type of martial kind of avenue you want to go, something akin to Sentinel or Polar Master sort of feat that changes the functionality or improves the way you wield such a weapon. Okay. Bard. Here are some changes that addressed feedback from the Bard public playtest. You start with 2 bardic performance options instead of 1. Spoiler alert, 1 is cutting words. We thought it felt too ultra bard to keep hidden behind one subclass. While bards are still tied to the arcane spell lists, they now get to pick a percentage of their spells from any spell source. This means bards can still grab tried and true support spells like Cure Wounds. Also, there is no need to panic. The Vicious Mockery spell is on both the arcane and weird source lists, so it's back in the bard realm. Again, one thing that I really, really like about the Bard was it was something that was available in the backer playtest, is that Bards have Bardic Performance, which is a unique thing separate from Bardic Inspiration. This kind of reminds me of older Bards in D&D history where basically you can just play a song, complete a performance of some kind, whatever that might be, and it does things. This is like, the closest analog in 5e, I would say, is Counter Charm, right? Where you're actively doing something to, like, provide a benefit, but this could be something like providing a bonus to something or advantage on something else. I think it's very well done. I'm excited to see it, and now cutting words is one of those options from the base performance, which is cool. Druid. Here are some changes that addressed feedback from the Druid class public playtest. Druids start with a second wild shape option for those less interested in wild shaped beast form and prefer to be spell slinger powerhouses. After lots of divisive feedback on how wild shaped beast form should work, we kept the creative spirit of the feature the same but imposed restrictions on form hit points by size and druid level. We also set a specific number of forms. The playtesters spoke and y'all weren't interested in a total rework, so we focused on quality of life and clarity improvements instead. Mechanist. We already showed off some of the changes from playtesting in the article, in the previous article we talked about. Preview the first couple pages of the brand new Mechanist class. But in case you missed it, we made the Mechanist stronger in combat. Mechanists have the same weapon options as other martial classes. Mechanists have multi-attack. We boosted features that made them tougher, providing more options to boost hit points and increase AC. Warlock. From the earliest days, we were determined to make changes to make the Warlock casting system less of a headache. The first time we released the Warlock class into public playtesting, we introduced it as a half caster in the same style as the Paladin and Ranger. We got a lot of feedback, and it was nearly a 50-50 split between playtesters who loved the change and those who mourned the loss, specifically of the old way of pact casting. After much consideration, we created a hybrid option. Warlocks are half casters, like the new design, which means they have more spell slots, but we gave them access to cantrips and brought back pact casting in a fun new form that allows Warlock to cast a small number of pact spells without expending spell slots. We think you'll dig it no matter which camp you fell in during the public playtests, and of course, there was much more. Check back next TOV Tuesday for more. So that's pretty interesting. We actually saw this from Wizards of the Coast. If you recall, they had, at one point in their early Warlock playtests, had basically made the Warlock a full caster and then kind of ratcheted it back. So many people are used to the pact casting, or pact spellcasting. Pact magic, however you want to refer to it. So it's interesting to see, and I actually was surprised when we saw them kind of switch over to full-blown traditional full spellcasting in the WotC stuff, that so many people prefer the way pact magic is, that they kind of swapped back, and it sounds like Kobold Press with Tales of the Valiant has kind of landed on an interesting 50-50. I'm very curious to see what the final version looks like, because that is quite interesting. Sort of a half-caster with some pact magic inspirations in there. That could be exactly what everybody wants. More spells, but still the fun option of casting some stuff with either quicker recharge or however that works. Again, Campaign Builder Dungeons and Ruins is live on Kickstarter right now. This is the one we were just talking about, like I said. I will put a link in the video description if you'd like to check this out. It's obviously, I think it's already well past its funding goal. Yeah, it's more than doubled the goal, and it's still increasing as we see. It just launched today. So yeah, that was it for this TOV Tuesday. I do think there was one other thing I just want to make sure I take a look at that came out from Kobold Press today regarding Tales of the Valiant. Now, it was not listed in that article, but I think it's worth mentioning as we are talking about Tales of the Valiant, and that is their new actual play program, which let me find it here real quick. Kobold Creates, it's called. So let's go ahead and pull this up right here. Building support for TTRPG creators, deadline April 29th, 2024. Let's zoom this back out a little bit. This is about the program. Kobold Press has launched the Kobold Creates program to support digital creators, networks, and gamers playing Kobold Press products. In short, Kobold Press will provide sponsorship funds for digital content that showcases the Tales of the Valiant RPG in 2024. The program is open to various pitches, including but not limited to actual plays, podcasts, short-form content, interviews, and YouTube series. The Tales of the Valiant project does not necessarily have to be a new idea. It can also be the continuation of existing series or longer, as long as TOV is involved. For the inaugural launch of this program, we're celebrating the launch of the Tales of the Valiant RPG. At Kobold Press, we're committed to supporting content creators worldwide by offering these annual sponsorship dollars. Our aim is to foster new groups and ideas that help the TTRPG community grow and thrive. This program will continue annually to support and provide a strong foundation for the future of the TTRPG community. Qualifications. Who? All digital content creators can apply regardless of following or audience size. You don't need a big audience, just a dedicated one. When? All pitch projects must occur between June and September of 2024. What? The project must be focused on Tales of the Valiant RPG products and released publicly to everyone once created. Where? Creators must complete the form by April 29th, following all instructions to be considered. Late applications will be disqualified. Recipients will be announced May 10th at Kobold Con Live. By the way, are you curious? I guess maybe if you don't know, Kobold Con is their own digital convention that they're running. If you're curious, let me know. Maybe we can do some coverage of Kobold Con, or maybe do some live streams or, reactions. Anyway, selection process. Kobold Press will select 10 projects in 2024 to receive a $500 sponsorship to support their creative ideas. A panel of anonymous judges, including a Cobalt staff member, a TTRPG freelancer, and a special guest TTRPG content creator, will lead the selection process. The judges will be focused on diversity, creative pitch, and scope of work. Final selected projects will be announced live on Twitch and YouTube at KoboldCon on Friday, May 10th, during our Cobalt showcase. What we are looking for. Content creators from all over the world. You do not need to be based in the US. Integration of the Tales of the Valiant system into your game, stories, series, and ideas. Digital content only. All digital content platforms accepted. Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, etc. Unique project ideas that match the scope of funding. Creators eager and excited for TOV's launch in May and June. What we are not looking for: product ads or reviews. If you're a press reviewer, visit our Cobalt Connection forum. Panels or convention appearances, content released behind a paywall, Patreon or other subscription-based models, mature or adult content, mature or adult? Wow, adult or mature, that's a new one for me. Guess I'm tired. Pitches for adventures, world building, writings, etc. Projects focused on past Cobalt Press titles and books. Projects that require Cobalt Press to host or stream for you. Selected projects will receive $500 to spend on the project as you see fit. Kobold Creates onboarding meeting with our current product manager, Kendo. First access to our new store affiliate program where you can earn money. Cobalt Press social media / Discord sharing and support for your project. One highlight placement in our weekly newsletter serving over 55,000 people. A single interview on our weekly Cobalt Chats live stream about the project. PDFs of the Tales of the Valiant books and VTT access keys for your stream. One TOV slipcase provided for giveaways or unboxings valued at $129. Next steps. Beginning by familiarizing yourself with Tales of the Valiant RPG and Black Flag reference document. This year we are specifically looking for projects that highlight the core books. You can find more information at talesofthevaliant.com, etc. And there's an application right here you can go ahead and fill out. So that's pretty cool. I probably am going to not apply for that, honestly, to not take the opportunity away from somebody else. There are a lot of awesome people out there with a variety of different sizes to be able to join this and get the support from Cobalt Press. It's also a great opportunity to work with the amazing team from Cobalt Press. Probably one of the biggest takeaways that I thought was really cool was the affiliate program that'll be coming out at some point for Cobalt Press. That's something I'd definitely like to become a part of if possible. But yeah, no, I don't want to take the opportunity away from somebody else who wants to get their start in this, and whether that's a live stream playing a Tales of the Valiant game or some sort of series. That doesn't mean you're not going to see more Tales of the Valiant content on here. I'm just going to continue making the content that regarding Tales of the Valiant that I want to make. I'm just not going to, apply for this. And I guess my stuff might fall more into product ads or reviews, although I obviously could make up some sort of series covering it in a variety of ways. I feel like my content falls more under review, although top 10s and other things, there's ways I could do it, but I don't want to take the opportunity away from somebody else, so I'll leave that up to you guys to figure it out. I'll have links in the description to the Kobold Creates as well if you'd like to go ahead and try to apply for that. If you do, I wish you the best of luck. And yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions on all the stuff we talked about here today. If you'd like to see coverage of Kobold Con from me in some format, let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.